Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man. Every once in a while, you come across a comic book or manga that you can't put down. It has its hold on you through its compelling narrative. The intensity and drama continues to swell with each chapter. You become invested. You become obsessed. For me, this feeling came from reading Chainsaw Man Part 1, the first 11 volumes. So why did I like it so much? Let's kick it. This, just like all my other reviews, is as spoiler-free as possible, so don't stress. It is a manga written and drawn by Tatsuki Fujimoto. The story follows a male character by the name of Denji. He is an impoverished teenager whose life only seems to get worse. The story is set in a world where devils are born from human fears. They take physical manifestation and terrorize society. For instance, people who fear tomatoes will eventually bring forth a tomato devil that will cause chaos in society. The more menacing the fear, the greater the threat a devil will pose. For example, a fear of spiders may not spawn a devil as powerful as a fear of weapons of mass destruction, such as guns. You get the idea. Interestingly enough, the story takes place in an alternative timeline in 1997, where the Soviet Union still exists. As with any threat, there is always an opposing force, and when it comes to devils, they would be devil hunters. They specialize in hunting and recruiting devils for, you guessed it, to further wage war against devils. Now our main protagonist, and I won't say how because that's really exciting part of the story, turns into a devil. But not just any devil, a chainsaw devil. Once this happens, he is given a choice to join forces with the devil hunters to take on greater devil threats. Now as basic of a premise as that sounds, the rabbit hole definitely goes a lot deeper. But before we do that, I need to also mention that there are fiends in the world. Fiends are devils that have taken over human corpses as their last resort to survive. Devils lose a significant amount of their supernatural power and ability to perform contracts after becoming a fiend. Oh, and contracts are basically like a deal that's made between a devil and a human being, which then allows the human being to have some powers at a price. Fiends can be identified by their distinct head shapes, such as Power's horns. And by the way, she's a great character in the story. I find her so endearing. Okay, but what makes Chainsaw Man so special, or even worth your time? Well, to answer that question, we need to take a look at the inspiration for this story. Have you ever watched Korean films? If the answer is no, I highly recommend that you do so, because Tatsuki Fujimoto gains a lot of his inspiration from those movies. Specifically, he mentions Chaser in one of his interviews. And that movie is extremely creepy. It's thrilling, it's edge of your seat stuff, and he does mention what makes that movie so unique. You see, it's highly unpredictable, and the director takes particular decisions in the movie that you only see unravel at the very end. Now, I'm not gonna say anything about the movie. I highly recommend that you see it, but it's that sort of type of thinking that has been embedded inside Chainsaw Man, and I can see that becoming more and more popular, not in Tatsuki Fujimoto's manga, but in manga in general, because Korean films have this tendency to kind of mix it up and do things in that film that really break out of the general norm. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna give you some Korean film recommendations as well, in case you're interested. Parasite, Old Boy, Memories of Murder, I Saw the Devil, Joint Security Area, Thirst, The Yellow Sea, A Bittersweet Life, New World, and yeah, that should keep you busy. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a recurring theme. This is an idea in psychology proposed by American psychologist Abraham Maslow in his 1943 paper titled A Theory of Human Motivation. If you're not familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's basically like a pyramid of needs and tiers on there, and in order to go onto the next tier, you need to meet the requirements of the one previously. So for instance, at the very bottom, you will have the most basic needs, such as, well, what do you need to stay alive? Well, you need air, but then you need water, you need food, you need shelter. And if you can obtain these basic needs, you can then move on to the next one. Or perhaps you will gain motivation to chase the next set of needs. Once you've obtained your basic needs, you can move on to some of the psychological needs, such as a means to belong somewhere. You need friends, you need family, you need to be loved, you want an intimate partner, you want a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And after that, you might want to feel like a sense of accomplishment. fulfillment. You know, you want to have a job that means something to you. You want to have some income. Maybe you want to get some sort of medals or trophies for the sports that you're taking part of or competitions. You want to feel like you've achieved something. At the very peak of that pyramid is the self-fulfillment needs. I like to look at that as really your purpose in life, your meaning in life. What is it that you want to strive for continuously? What is it that gets you excited, that makes you want to get up in the morning every single day? Maybe you love running a business. Maybe you love to teach people or paint beautiful pieces of artwork or build cars. Whatever it is, you want to see if you can embed that into your occupation, because essentially that will mean you're living the dream. Right? You're working your dream job. Now, how does all of this actually translate through to Chainsaw Man? We see that theme throughout the whole story. Our character begins at the very bottom. He's impoverished. He's got nothing to his name, and he dreams about the basic needs. He wants food. He wants shelter. He wants water. You know, he wants that sense of comfort, and he wants to have those basic needs fulfilled. And as the story progresses, you guessed it, those needs expand because he's capable of meeting the lower tiers of Maslow's hierarchy. Chainsaw Man does a beautiful representation of that. Let's talk about the pacing of Chainsaw Man. It is just sublime. The first 11 volumes, which are actually located in the first Chainsaw Man box set, which is the only box set right now, and contain the entirety of the first part of Chainsaw Man. It is fast, but it's meaningful at the same time. You know, you're jumping from one meaningful thing to the next. It's fast and it feels like it gets faster and faster, just kind of how like you're starting up a chainsaw and revving it. By the end, that chainsaw is going at maximum speed, cutting through everything in its wake. The action is phenomenal. There's a lot of panels to keep your eyes busy. There's a lot of explosive action happening on the left, right, and center. You do feel a sense of hype, and I love that. Like, you just be breezing through the pages, and you feel engaged the whole time. And that's kind of one of the reasons why you just feel like the whole story moves so quickly. You will burn through that box set extremely quickly. I tried to savor the experience, but boy, it was very hard. Consequences are a big thing in Chainsaw Man. You see, the actions made by any of the characters have massive ripple effects and massive consequences down the line. You know, a lot is at stake here. Nobody is safe. And this is what I love, not just about Chainsaw Man, but about manga and about independent comic books. You know, the writer is not forced to keep any characters alive. He can do as he wishes and make the world mean something. You know, it feels like when there is a loss in the world, it's extremely meaningful because it's permanent. And when that happens, it hits you like a ton of bricks. The characters of Chainsaw Man are so awesome. There's a wide cast of them and they all bring something unique to the table. We got Makima, Denji, Kobeni, Kishibe, Power, Aki, Himeno, and all of them just feel so unique in their own way. And that brings us to the consequences. You know, if anything happens to these characters, we really feel for them. It should also be noted that there's a lot of characters thrown into the book, especially like in the middle of it when everything starts to get a little bit messy and hectic. And you just kind of just trying to keep track of like, okay, who's actually important here? Who do I need to pay attention to? Because there's a lot going on and it's all messy fun. The experience, of course, it's all about the experience at the end of the day. Now, your experience may vary with Chainsaw Man, but I found myself to be shocking and gasping with all the twists and turns. Oh, and don't get me started on wowing. Wow. And there are moments of giggity. I found myself hyping when things got really heated, and the action was so epic. There were terrifying moments too, as well as those that made me genuinely depressed. In essence, Chainsaw Man attempts to be a slice of everything all at once, and ultimately succeeds. Part 1 of Chainsaw Man was great, and had an ending that I would consider as perfect. Ultimately, will the entire story be perfect? Well, only time will tell, but I have confidence that Tatsuki Fujimoto will give us something special to remember for years to come. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and let me know your thoughts on the comments below regarding Chainsaw Man if you have experienced it. And please, 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 no spoilers. There are a lot of people that haven't experienced the story yet, including myself regarding part 2. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch you soon.